DraftKings.com live before lock show. We take you through the day's 15-game slate. That is every single team you could possibly imagine right at your fingertips today. I'm Chris Stacks, joined by my good live before lock pal, Mr. Jake Hari, the baseball savant himself. How are you doing, Jake?
Oh, I'm doing well, man. Not a millionaire, but made some money last night in NBA Showdown, so I'm feeling good. Also had a good baseball night, so the stars are aligning. I'm ready to tackle this 15-gamer. Just got done watching the deeper dive as well, so I feel like I'm ready.
Yeah, it's Friday. You got to keep the energy up. And you know what else will keep you ready for the slate, Jake? The thing that you have on your computer right now, which I guess it's weird that I'm talking about. We can both talk about it, though. That's our lineup builder page. And I know a lot of people out there use different lineup sites out there. But if you want to keep track of the lineups as they come out, we have some really big updates that have come to that page now. So you can see all the confirmed lineups. You can see all of the appearances, as you can see on Jake's screen right now. You can copy and paste it into Excel if you want to try to use that to build your projections or your base of the players for the day. But our lineup builder page has had a lot of improvements, so go check it out. Jake, what's the URL on that one?
It is mlb.lineups.awesemo.com. So you guys can see here, Chris, you're a little bit on delay, but I can kind of talk as I go. The lineups will, as they get confirmed, as they come in to Vegas or however that works, we will have them updated. So you can use this as your lineups page. Pretty cool stuff. Been using this as we've gotten a ton better at updating it. So I'll keep this up. I'll go back and forth between Fantasy Cruncher.
Yeah, so it's a good way to keep tabs on everything as it gets updated throughout the day. And if you are also a premium member of Awesemo.com, you'll also see the ownership projections, the rankings, the GPA for all of your lineups that you're building on there. A lot of things are going to make you better and just kind of make it a little more intuitive as you're building lineups throughout the day. So go check that out. Use a promo code live before lock to get half off your first month. And again, go check out the page, mlb.lineups.awesemo.com. A lot of dots in there. The more dots, the better the page is. That's the general rule of thumb, right, Jake?
That's exactly right. So many dots, but it's a pretty easy spot to get to. In fact, I'll post the link for you guys so you guys can use this. Bookmark this as your lineups page. We think it's pretty cool, and I think you guys will appreciate it as well.
Look at us fancy boys posting links and helping people out. You're making a difference here on a Friday. But, Jay, we got ourselves a big slate here, so we won't waste too much time. Let's talk, as we always do, let's talk the pitchers up top. And we do have one guy who's going to be pretty highly owned on most of the SP2 sites. So it's actually its ownership has come down a little bit in some of our updates throughout the day. But Trevor Bauer, I think a lot of people today are going to be gun shy. We talked about Carlos Carrasco yesterday. We went through some of the reasons why we were concerned. I, in particular, vocalized some concern. But we generally agreed the price was still worth taking the shots because it was just a really good price. Today, similar thing with Trevor Bauer. He's priced well. Also had some downsides, not quite as many obvious ones as Carlos Carrasco has had. But there are some reasons maybe not to go to him. Also in a positive home run hitting park, going against the White Sox team, who we just saw what they did to Carrasco. They do have the power to bang up anybody. What are you doing with Trevor Bauer today?
Yeah, I mean, it's not a perfect spot. The White Sox, they do have power. But they also do have a ton of strikeouts in their lineup. And Bauer, while he hasn't been maybe the guy we saw last season, he has been solid, and 9,200 for him is just 1 to 2K underpriced, I would say, based on how good of a pitcher he is. So there's really nothing wrong with him outside of the ownership. I'm still finding I'm able to get good, unique lineups with Bauer still in it. So no reason for me to avoid him. I probably will come in somewhere around the field, similar to Carrasco yesterday. And yeah, the White Sox do have power. He certainly could blow up, but I'm not really looking to get any White Sox bats on the other side.
Yeah, I have a little bit more of them than I thought I would because of the price reasons. I still have, I think I'm mostly with the field. Yeah, I think I'm actually with the field on where our ownership is now. I was going to be under the field based upon our earlier in the day ownership. I wanted to get some more Chris Sale, but he doesn't pop in our projections, and I forced a little bit in there, but I like Sale a lot. Like, I think Sale's in a really good spot. And I guess for me, I ended up going much cheaper at pitcher. Like it's a real dumpster divey day for me today, Jake. But also like some of the mid-price guys in the 8K range on DraftKings, like I didn't get to Sale as much as I thought I would, but what about him? Does he pop for you at all?
He actually was. I was getting to him because when I ranked out my lineups, he was coming up, and I was getting a bunch of unique constructions with him while getting the Rockies still. But the problem with getting to Sale and trying to fit in some of these expensive bats is you're forced to playing guys like Chacin and Tyler Mahle and Pomeranz, who aren't great options, but they are around 6K pitchers or even less in some cases. So I'm taking stabs at a few of those guys down low. So I am getting to a bunch of Sale, and I'm pretty excited that we're going to get him at pretty low ownership for a guy that should never be this price, I don't think. So, yeah, I do like Sale, even though he's not popping a ton. I'm still getting some of him in my crunches. And then when I filter out lineups, I'm getting to even a little bit more of him.
I mean, those Yankees hitters, I think, are a little bit scary because you have guys like Voit, Hicks, Sanchez, and Torres are just mashing home runs versus lefties going back to last year. I mean, all those guys above a 5% home run rate. Voit at 9% versus lefties, but it hasn't been quite there as much recently. But still, he has had the numbers going back for a while now, a little bit of a longer sample size. So I think there's some risk going against Sale, or rather for Sale and the hitters that are going against him. And that would be one reason I guess I could see why it wouldn't be there. But yes, Sale to me under 20% ownership. Like I think I'm with the field. We have him at 17% on DK. I think I have 15. And I'm all right with that because he just didn't occur naturally. We don't have him as more than a 2x value, which I think is generally why I don't get the higher price pitchers when they are not popping in projections. So yeah, I like the spot. Just I guess maybe there's something here that I'm missing or that we're missing, and that maybe it's not as great as it seems.
No, I don't think we're missing anything. I think there's just more obvious value around Sale
Sure.
that a lot of people aren't getting to him. They're just taking the guy that is coming up in optimizers and the guy that's getting touted all over the place in Bauer, that, for good reason, and Wheeler as well. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with Sale. I mean, this Yankees active roster striking out 26.5% versus lefties on the season. So it's not like he has trouble, getting strikeouts ever, but I don't think this is a particularly tough K matchup where you have to avoid Sale at under 11K.
I have this lineup. So we're saying the aggregate K rate for the whole lineup.
Oh no, the lineup may be a little bit better. I had the active roster pulled up earlier.
Okay, yeah. So today's lineup is only 21%, but on the year they're 27%. So
okay.
So that was something also where I was like, okay, maybe people will think this is a better matchup than it is. Like obviously it doesn't affect Chris Sale. Chris Sale could strike out. I mean, you could have an all-star lineup and you'd still get a decent amount of strikeouts on that. But yeah, I just thought, I think it might be more appealing in some respects, and then just there is some power. So I don't know. I guess I don't feel terrible about where I am with Sale, but it just seems like one of those spots where it feels flimsy on either way. What about Zack Wheeler? You mentioned him real fast, and he's going to be pretty decently owned as well. Going against an Arizona team who hasn't been too good, but it's a team total that's actually gone on the rise. It was at 4.4 earlier today. Now we're up to about 4.5, but Wheeler still at a good price. Is over 10 Ks for 9 on the year. What are you doing with Zack Wheeler?
He's another one I don't have a huge issue with. So kind of the whole slate revolves around me trying to get in Rockies for the most part. So it's basically whichever pitchers fit after that, and obviously project out well. And Wheeler's one of them. He's a guy that I don't have an issue playing. Arizona, not a perfect strikeout match, but I think they're around middle of the pack versus righties. I think a little over 22% versus righties this season. 8,700, doesn't have issues going deep into games when things are going well for him. And we've seen him be priced much higher than this recently. It is worrisome that Arizona is keeping the roof open. Are you seeing that as well?
I think that's the last that I saw, but I don't know. I feel like that changes based on the rims. But yeah, almost 100 degrees there, and it looks like it's open.
Okay, so at least it's not humid in Arizona. It almost never is, but still warm weather. That's why you're seeing the high total against him. So that's why you're not seeing Wheeler as the super chalky option along with Bauer. So I like Wheeler. I got a little over the field on him in my last crunch.
So actually, I'll give you one guy and we'll go back and forth with this. Joey Lucchesi's a guy I liked a lot in the morning, and I forced him in there a bit. We don't have him projecting terribly well. I guess actually, no, we do. He's a decent projection for us, but he didn't come up a lot for me kind of naturally. But I did like him. I like the spot here going against Miami. His strikeout stuff's been on the upswing, but just in general, he's been doing a good job going back to last year, just missing bats at 11.4% clip on the year. And that's a slight improvement going back to last year and getting over 9, almost 9.5 Ks per 9 this year. And that's comparable to what he had going back to last season as well. So I like Lucchesi, but there's a lot of guys in this price range who you could go to. I could see you having one of them really pop for you. I guess, how do you feel about Joey Lucchesi? And then how do you feel overall about that price range?
Yeah, I mean, that price range is pretty loaded as far as viable options you can play. We just talked about Wheeler, Bauer. There's a couple other guys. I mean, Smith on the other side, if you consider that the same range as well. But yeah, it's a fine price for Lucchesi. Is it Lucchesi or Lucchesi? Did we decide on that?
I think it's Lucchesi, but I don't know. I still say Lucchesi, and it's probably, I'm probably wrong, to be honest. I'll admit to this one. I might be wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I like Lucchesi quite a bit. Under 9K for him against the Marlins, minuscule total against the 3.1 implied total. But yeah, he's just a guy that, based on what Vegas is showing me, a guy I shouldn't really be avoiding. Maybe the one issue is just that he doesn't go as deep as some of these other guys, like as deep as Bauer. He's not getting those 110, 115 pitch outings. So that would be the one knock against Lucchesi. But other than that, it's the Marlins. And this is a guy that does have decent strikeout stuff.
Also, while you were doing that, I muted my mic for a second, but I think I can play it loud enough where we might be able to hear it. Here's the pronunciation.
Lucchesi.
Did that come through?
Yeah.
It's a strong K, so it's Lucchesi. But yeah, there we go. So I'll take the L on that one. It's not Lucchesi. It's just that hurts me. That hurts me to be completely wrong about that over and over and over again.
Yeah.
All right. Who else at pitcher? Or actually, I'll give you one more guy. All right, let's go cheaper. So here's a guy I'm getting a lot of. I feel really bad about it to the point where I actively went for sacks against him. And I think a lot of people may be getting him based upon our ownership for him rising. Darvish. So his strikeout numbers on the year are insane. He's getting 11 Ks per 9 this year. A similar number going back to last year. He's also given up a ton of walks. He's also giving up a ton of home runs. It is the ultimate risk-reward play. But it's 7K on DraftKings as an SP2 or in an SP1 situation if you're going to go super cheap at pitcher, which I think you can do. I'm getting to Darvish, and I'm scared of it, Jake. What about you?
Oh, I'm scared of it as well. I hate this guy. I mean, I hate playing Darvish. I hate watching him pitch. He walks a ton of guys. He's done a little bit better of a job not walking 5 guys his last few starts. So maybe he's starting to turn around a little bit, or just a blip on the radar to start the season. But he's 7K against a righty-heavy Cardinals lineup, at least at the top. DeJong, Goldschmidt, Ozuna. And then the lefties aren't all that great. Wong, Dexter Fowler's fine. Wieters isn't a guy you're worried about. And then Bader, Michaelis. So I think it's a good lineup for strikeouts for him if he has his best stuff. The question is he going to? And I'm willing to find out, at least for 7K, because like I said, it's a slate that pretty much revolves around Colorado, and then everyone else is secondary for me after that.
Yeah, and also our boy McCod also points out we just got an ownership update about 3 minutes ago, so I'm going to paste that in while we go. But yeah, so like Darvish to me, I just think is interesting because of the fact that they're in a decent pitching park. I mean, one that limits homers at least. And that is one of his big failings. They're giving up 0.76 home runs for every one that would occur in other stadiums. And I think that's going to benefit him because he's been giving up a 4.4% rate this year and a 5% rate versus lefties going back to last year. So he's got some weaknesses for sure in home runs, but maybe the park helps him keep it in. Maybe that helps him kind of focus his powers where they should be. And at that price, I'm willing to take that risk because the strikeout upside's there. I think Adam made a pretty good point about it, and I'm sure you heard it too on the deeper dive, but hopefully many of you did as well. We were talking about like, hey, if a guy's going to give up a run and he's got that potential, like that's why you don't want to go to Miles Michaelis because he gives up a home run. How's he going to get that back? He's not striking guys out. You can certainly get those runs back with strikeouts, and I think that does give him some upside. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, it was a great point by Adam. Like when you're like ultimately strikeouts are king on DraftKings and Yahoo, and I mean FanDuel as well. So you can deal with guys giving up walks and even solo shots like Bundy. That's why Bundy is always heavily owned, and the stack against him is always owned as well because he gets a lot of strikeouts. He gives up a ton of hard contact, but those are guys that are going to have spike performances. Like you could see Darvish easily getting you 22, 24, 26 points here. And for 7K, like I don't think he's owned. I don't think he's over-owned at this spot. So, yeah, that was a great point by Adam. I definitely think you should have brought it up again. So I like it.
I enjoy our show sometimes. We at least have like one segment where we're like, just great job by Adam today. Like, I mean, Lofty too does a great job, but I think, Adam makes some great points that stick with you.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we always attribute it to Adam because he's not like Lofty's like carrying the show, so he doesn't get as much of a chance to like read off stats. He's more like, Adam, what do you think about this guy? But yeah, they're both incredible at especially starting pitching. Those guys are insane at what they do.
So people in the chat have requested thoughts on Drew Pomeranz, and I guess, I mean, not a ton of ownership projected for him. Just we have him at under 10% on DK, but he's cheap enough where he can work. And given some of the awful players I have in lineups today that I'm okay with, I could see how you'd get to Drew Pomeranz. I think being in Baltimore, where you're going to give up a lot more home runs, and he certainly is going to give up home runs, especially to righties. Pomeranz with a 4.9% home run rate versus righties compared to a 0.9% home run rate versus lefties. I'm not inclined to go to Pomeranz because I don't see he's got some strikeout upside maybe, and the Orioles lineup that they have today has a 24.4% K rate amongst them, so there's some opportunity there, but I didn't get there. I don't think it's worth it in this park, and it's been a really good hitting park. I'm not trying to go there, but what about you?
I mean, it's not my favorite thing in the world to play Drew Pomeranz, but he's another one who's 6K. It's Baltimore. There are some strikeouts in this lineup, especially near the bottom of this lineup with Broxton, Dwight Smith, lefty. It's not an overly scary Baltimore lineup either. 4.5 implied total against him is probably getting some people off of him. And, Pomeranz hasn't been all that great, but he's someone who's actually, he was my second, he was the guy I was the second most overweight on in my last crunch at, I had him at 26.7% when he was 9% owned. So he's a guy that I'm going to get to quite a bit. I'm just filtering in a bunch of these 6 to 7K guys as my SP2s just to get in the big boy bats.
Yeah, I think that's fair. And I'll give you one terrible guy who I have, and I'll blame our projections at Awesemo.com for him because he came up in one build where I forced the stacks in that I wanted, and then this is just what he landed on along with the SP1 that I had chosen that lineup. And then, to be clear, one lineup out of 20 I have this guy in. Ariel Jurado. I think it is a terrible pitcher, to be clear, who doesn't strike guys out. He's 4,900. I also have one with Dylan Covey just because they work. They work for some of the higher price bat lineups. Are you going to any of those guys at any sort of depth at all?
I just did a quick control F search. I did not get either of those two. Okay. They're barely owned. If those guys could give you 5 or 4 or 5 cleanish innings, you're probably okay with them. And it's going to get you different because while people are going to this low tier, they're not going that low. Would you say your auto's price? Yeah, he's under 5K. So yeah. If he allows you to get up to an Arenado or Story, not the worst idea in the world. There's just no strikeout upside with those guys is my issue. So I'd like to get up into the $5,600 to $6,600 tier if I could.
With Covey, you're getting some leverage. So I think that would be the one positive with him because Cleveland's still going to be owned. I mean, they're going to pop a lot in optimizers. I think they're going to be owned in general in our ownership projections. I think we're at about 7.5% overall, but that's including the guys who are much lower owned. The top 5 is going to be around 10 to 15%. So at least you're getting leverage with Covey. So I think that's a logic. Jurado, though, you're not really getting any of that. And I don't know. I guess maybe he looks slightly worse or slightly better as a pitcher, and these projects for 1 point more. But they're priced like Ryan Stanek, who's an opener. I think you have a starting pitcher who theoretically is stretched out and can go deep, like theoretically. Yeah. At least they have some kind of value, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking for like 5 innings with 3 strikeouts and 1 earned run, and give him a chance at the win. I guess it's not the worst correlation play in the world, especially for the Tex. Like if you're stacking Texas and Jurado, just makes it fit with all those other expensive bats. That would be a spot I'd be okay going to him. How stretched out is he actually? Yeah, he threw 94 in his last start. So yeah, I mean, I'm always willing to play these cheap pitchers, but I'd like a little bit of strikeout upside, I think.
To be clear, I agree usually. Like yesterday, we made a case for Banuelos, and then Felix Pena, that ended up being the play, which I was really happy with. It's really felt good about that one. And also Junis. So our cheap dumpster diving pitching yesterday was the move. The guys that we talked about, we were like, I really feel bad about this one. And I don't think Jurado, I don't even think Jurado or Covey have the 20-point upside both those guys had yesterday. But on this slate, I think the bats could be a stack of 5 could really be the thing that you need. And sometimes you have to pay that price. And, then maybe also you're getting a mini stack of Colorado, which is also high priced.
Yeah.
It's possible. I think it's possible.
For sure.
What about Julius Chacin? People in the chat are asking. Is he somebody you're getting at all?
Yep. Unfortunately, he was going to be the next guy I brought up, actually. So not an endorsement of his skill set at all. In fact, I don't even think this is that great of a lineup for him. You would like a couple more righties in here, but he's another one who stretched out 107 pitches in his last start a few days ago. and he's a guy who could give you 6 innings and be somewhat clean about it. It's a decent pitcher's park in Pittsburgh here for Chacin. He's just 5,300, and he allows me to fit in the bats I want. So there you go. What about you?
I was getting him with our projections, and I was like, I'm buying into him the least. So we talked about this yesterday with the Milwaukee stack, and I think I'm sure some of our other shows on our channel here mentioned it throughout the day, but that was when we were both on and really believed in it. I was mostly worried about the weather, but like I love that stack. So Pittsburgh's park really does give up a lot of production. They're giving up a lot of doubles, a lot of triples. The home runs have been a little bit under league average, but still, like they're giving up hits and contact. And Chacin really struggles versus lefties. And now you have a good amount of lefties, a good amount of switch hitters going in there. And Pittsburgh, that middle of the order has been hitting well for them. I mean, I'm just looking at it now. Polanco, Marte, Bell, Reynolds, and Moran. All those guys are over a 110 WRC or over a 112 WRC plus. So is Adam Frazier. Like those guys can hit, and Chacin has been getting hit all over the place. And I think the park is just better for hitting than people seem to realize. So I like both sides a lot, and I really don't like Archer or Chacin for that reason.
Oh, I thought you said you were buying into Chacin.
No, not buying into Chacin. I was getting him with projections, and I was like,
not buying into Chacin. Okay.
No.
I was like,
I asked him out actually because I just kept getting him.
Okay. Yeah, so I was getting him. That's why I just used the projections on the site. So those are the number one player in the world's projections. So who am I to say that he's wrong with his projection here? I don't know. I mean, he's not a good pitcher, but it's just how the slate sets up. Same thing with Tyler Mahle at 6,200.
Oh, so yeah, him too. I am very on Washington stacks today because they have a ton of power here, and Mahle is terrible versus lefties, and then you have like several lefties who can mash them in another park where you're giving up a ton of home runs, a ton of hits. I'm not on Mahle, I'm not on Chacin, and I think those are two guys I've seen bandied about quite a bit today, and I like going against them more. I didn't get to Pittsburgh as much, but I have a lot. Washington is actually one of my. It's not really a leverage play, I guess, because Mahle's ownership hasn't gone up as much as I thought it would, but it's a play that's certainly been there.
Yeah, there's just the DK gave us an opportunity to just filter in all these guys. So I think this really lends itself to an MME slate. If you were on the fence and you can still mass multi-enter, if you still got time to enter in contests, I think it'd be a good one because you can just play. Like I have no problem playing these chalk pitchers and even the chalk cheap ones, but you can filter in a bunch of them and just kind of spread out your exposure. And you got to get the right hitters anyways on a 15-game slate. So. Yeah, I'm not comfortable with any of these guys down here, but as I'm hoping 2 to 3 of them are at least passable, and then it's all about the hitters after that.
Yeah, I just don't see it from Mahle as much. Like the lefty splits really substantially would worry me if I were rostering him. But yeah, I was getting him. So that was the thing. I was getting him and Chacin, and I see really obvious flaws for both Mahle and Chacin. So that was sort of what made me go like, all right, I can go to you, who also has obvious flaws, but at least like there are some reasons where you could talk yourself into it a little more aggressively, or go cheap and just be like, hey, those guys suck too. So if Mahle and Chacin suck, but also Gerardo and Covey kind of suck the same amount of suck, then we're okay. It all kind of breaks even.
Everyone sucks. Yeah. I mean,
everyone sub you kind of sucks, I think, on this slate, but they're playable.
Yeah. I mean, Darvish has sucked at points this season. So.
Yes, it's true. But he's got the 11K per 9 number. Like he's striking guys out. He's doing something fantasy relevant.
Yeah, that's the attractive part. And even if he is bad or shaky, if he gives up 3 or 4 earned runs, but he gets you 6 strikeouts or 7 strikeouts in 5 innings or something, you're still going to be okay at that price.
All right, so Jake, we are a little bit past the halfway point of the show, even though we started a little late because the deeper dive guys had to get all the games in. But we both got home runs yesterday, so I think we had a pretty good prognostication show yesterday. Not to toot our own horns, but I think we did well, both in terms of home run picks and our general conversation. But now the standings on the year: Emax still number 1 at 11. Josh now tied with Jake for number 2 with 9, and I am at 8. So much like the hitters themselves, we are heating up as the weather heats up, Jake. And as a gentleman, as I always like to do, I will let you go first.
All right. I'm looking at my highest exposed guys right now, and like the first 5 of them are Coors bats. So can't pick any of them, but who do I want here? Maybe a Cleveland bat. I know Covey doesn't give up that much power, but it is a good hitting environment there. Wind blowing out to left, almost 80 degrees in Chicago. Similar
I love
to
hearing
here.
you beautiful mind your way through it all. It's a lot of fun.
I don't. Maybe I should just pick Grandal for like the third time in 4 days, but no, I won't.
I honestly wouldn't mind that pick one bit.
No, I won't. I'm gonna pick my namesake, Jake Bauers. I like him quite a bit.
Ooh.
Six-hole hitter.
All right, Jake Bauers it is. So all right. So I was gonna go with one of my Washington hitters. I didn't realize Cincinnati bullpen is as good as it is, and that kind of worries me a little bit, but I think I got to stick with what I have the most of today, and that is a former EMAC home run pick alum, Fat Matt Adams is going to be my pick.
Oh, you're stealing his boy. Is EMAC's picking yet or no?
No, I don't think it is yet.
All right, he's typing. I see in premium Slack, so we will see. He might have to change his pick if he's trying to take Fat Adams again.
He sent us a winky face. I don't know I don't know what that chat means that he sent us.
I don't either. A winky face? I didn't see that.
Emac's on one. I don't know. Emac's talking about Molly in one of our chats. I think a person, but your old pal get a little wild on a Friday.
Oh yeah. Since you stole my guy. All right, there we go. Yonder Alonso for EMAC.
There we go. All right, Yonder Alonso is in. So if you're tailing EMAC's picks, which has been a move to make, EMAC has gotten 4 out of his last 7. So no, 3 out of his last 7. Sorry. So that's a pretty good rate.
Yeah.
4 out of 7 sounded better, but 3 out of 7 is accurate. Jake is actually, you're on 4 out of 7.
Am I? It feels like I've gotten a few as of late. So looking to keep it up tonight.
Yeah, Josh has only done the show twice this week, and he hasn't gotten any, so he's like looking extra cold, even though he's not any more cold than usually you would be.
Well, it's his fault for not getting in the chat and giving his.
Okay, Emac's talking about Tyler Mahle, not.
Oh.
Okay, got it. Wait, is he saying it's pronounced Molly? Like the?
Is it Molly?
I thought it was Mahle, like Mahle.
I thought it was Tyler Mall. I don't know. These
like
guys, man, we see him once every 5th day, and we just forget. Like 2 hours after the slate starts. So,
all right. Well, either way, those are the picks. So we'll circle back on them later in the show, I'm sure. Anybody else pitching wise you would hit on before we get into some of the stacks?
I think we hit on all my terrible cheap pitchers that I'm on.
Brad Peacock. People asked about Uncle DFS in the premium Slack was asking about Brad Peacock. You also gave him a nickname, which I think is better fitting for Kyle O'Quinn, which I won't say on the show. But Brad Peacock. It's not a bad spot for him because he's getting a good amount of righties here. So I think that's certainly a positive. And Oakland's park has also been pretty beneficial in terms of keeping the ball in. So I don't mind him. I didn't get to him at all. I think the price is kind of weird. But what about you and Brad Peacock?
Weird price, I think, is a good way to put it. He got like as good of a lineup as he could imagine. Like Olsen is really scary, but like Profar, Grossman, and those are all the lefties. So everyone else batting from the right side. That's exactly what you want if you're trying to play Brad Peacock. The problem is just the price. So I'm not going to get to Peacock. I don't think there's just like, I'll take Bauer. I'll pay up for a stud like Sale or even Marquez for that matter.
Yeah, that's the thing to me is like for Peacock, like I would rather find the money to go to Sale. I'd rather go down a little bit more to Bauer or to Lucchesi Lucchesi. Or just go the other way and go with the garbage guys we talked about, or the guys who have some serious flaws. Let's not call them garbage guys, because I'm sure they're lovely human beings and fathers and sons and brothers. But yeah, I think Peacock's got some upside, and I kind of sell him short because the lefty splits just freak me out so much. But like you said, it is sort of the best possible lineup he could have gotten. And the run total isn't bad either. It's come down to 4.1. I think it was a little bit higher earlier in the day. Maybe could be a little bit lower, but it's not a bad spot at all for him. So, yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
And one last guy who I feel like we just like and then probably should hit on, Caleb Smith. Good strikeout stuff going into San Diego is also a really good pitching park. And San Diego does strike out a good amount, even though they do have some dangerous power in that lineup. They are going to give you some strikeouts. Caleb Smith, is he a guy who would register, or is also kind of a similar weird price thing?
Just another weird price. Not the greatest matchup against San Diego. A bunch of righties. They're rolling out there. He could overcome this, but I just have a hard time seeing how he kills me here. He's priced above Bauer, like above Marquez. I don't know. I'm just finding myself going elsewhere, including on the other side with Lucchesi. Okay.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Yeah, I mean, the price difference there would be great. He's asking about on Yahoo. Peacock has no ownership on Yahoo, is there? I don't know his price offhand on Yahoo.
So I'm more willing to pay for pitchers that are overpriced on Yahoo because there's so much value with the bats, especially on a slate like this. Peacock is at 44. Yeah, that's a much more doable price, I think, on Yahoo. That's close to Wheeler, and I like that as a pivot.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, and you're right there with Foltynewicz, who we also didn't talk about really, and he's shown some improvements too, but I would be concerned about Foltynewicz and trusting him too much. Like, at that same price, I would rather Peacock than Foltynewicz, like, substantially, I think.
I think I got no Folty in my last one, so there's just you got to make a stand somewhere. Yeah, when he was 19% owned, I had him at 0 out of my top 150. He was just getting filtered out with ownership. There were guys around him on DraftKings that were getting better projections than him and lower ownership.
Yeah, so like Folty, I saw, and actually this was kind of incidental because I happened to put in the wrong date frame. I used to use like last 2 weeks just to kind of keep an eye on pitchers and how they're doing. And I accidentally went to that page instead of the full year page for the pitching stats. And like I was like, oh, Folty's been much better than I thought he was. But it was just the last 2 weeks. I guess he's been getting strikeouts, still had some hard contacts, still some home run issues. He's been getting there in terms of strikeouts and making some improvements. But at Yahoo, where he's at kind of that price, I'd be less inclined to get there. Like FanDuel, I could see paying Foltynewicz, where he's super cheap, or even on DK, where he's in that mid-price range. But like if you could get Peacock or Folty, I would personally go Folty because I think it feels like a trap spot going against Detroit here, and a good Atlanta park with the heat kind of going. It seems like a not perfect spot for Folty.
Oh, Josh, he must have heard me talking. He said in Premium Slack, who did those losers take for home run picks? I just turned on the stream.
What a tick. Hey, Josh, just for you, the home run picks were Matt Adams for me, Jake had Jacob Bowers, and EMAC has Yonder Alonso. So those are the picks that also, I wouldn't even say losers because now we're all caught up. We're all right even with you, Josh.
Yeah, Josh, I'm tied with you. So I don't know. If we're losers, then I mean, that's fine if we're both going to be losers. But
maybe he's defining us by the amount of sodium we've taken in via pizza roll within the last month. That would make us all losers relative to the field. All right, Jake, what are you getting stack-wise? Let's give me your number one stack here. Also, if you guys have any questions, pop them in the premium Slack. Of course, use that promo code OSMO. Is it? Not that's not the one. Use the promo code live before lock. Go to osmo.com. Sign up now. You get all the ownership projections, the rankings, the lineup builder tool that Jake showed you earlier. All that stuff's included with your package. Get 50% off that first month with promo code live before lock. But drop your questions in the Slack or the YouTube. We will get to them as soon as we kind of burn through these stacks. Jake, what's your number one stack?
The Colorado Rockies, I hear they're in a pretty good spot. Just a massive total. I mean, Edwin Jackson somehow still in the league, just bouncing around every team multiple times. It's come down to 7.4 implied runs. But, yeah, just the largest total on the slate by a mile. But people still aren't fitting them in as much as they should be. So, I don't know. It's all Rockies for me. I'm just hammering them.
Yeah, I think that is the move. And obviously you are getting the gigantic run total, which is now up to 7.6, which I think the deeper dive guys were debating this. I'm pretty sure that is the highest run total we've had all year, right?
Yeah, I mean, it has to be.
Yeah, I think we might have had low sevens for some of the Baltimore series for Colorado, but I don't think we've seen getting towards 8, which is an exciting time. But like whenever the total gets that high, and Edwin Jackson seems like, to be clear, Edwin Jackson, not part of my considerations today, not a guy I'm trying to pitch or trying to put in there at pitcher, not a guy who I think is due for anything good, but he has to be not as bad as he's been so far this year. And the total seems really high. And I just feel like I went more one-offs than mini stacks for that reason, where I'm not trying to get 5 guys worth of production today out of this lineup.
Oh, I am. I'm trying to get 5 guys as much as I can. I just got the last 2 lineups, of course. Oh wait, no, we didn't. We don't have Houston. That's the only one we don't have.
Oh yeah, Houston. Yeah, Houston's one worth knowing too because they are very cheap today. And going against old Mike Fiers is a nice spot to be going in. But I'm sure we'll talk about them more. Yeah, so I don't know. It feels like a trap spot because you look at Edwin Jackson's numbers on the year. He's got a 1.64 WHIP, giving up 12.9 hits per 9, giving up a 7.8% home run rate. Not missing bats, an 8.2% swing strike rate, also not getting soft contact at all, which any contact at all in cores that you're giving up is problematic and can lead to production. He's only got a 12% soft contact rate on the year. So it does look like it should be a perfect spot for Colorado, but that tends to be in DFS where things go south. And then all of a sudden he's got, I don't even know that he has 10 strikeouts. He just has like 5 scoreless innings. Been trying not to curse recently, but I think we're still allowed technically.
Don't worry, I never have issues with that. Just keep it clean, always.
Josh's home run pick is in too. He's going with Mookie Betts. Oh, so brave, Josh. So courageous and brave.
Well, to be fair, I picked a total that was, I picked a player from a total game that was 5.7. Who did you pick again?
I picked Matt Adams. So at least,
Adams. No, that was a leverage dong off Male.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Male. Whatever. I'm still going Male. I'm not going to Male.
I don't blame you.
All right. Give me one more stack. You're getting a bunch on your lineup so far.
I got. Let's see here.
Actually, should we just talk Milwaukee again?
Milwaukee? Yeah, we can. I got some Milwaukee. We can talk about that.
Okay. I assumed you would. I assume Josh would too, because he always loves the Milwaukee Power whenever they're decently low owned. Oh, yeah. Everybody here under 10% again. Chris Archer really struggling versus lefties. Chris Archer kind of struggling in general versus everybody this year. And again, the Pittsburgh Park has been good for hitting. I like the Milwaukee stack quite a bit, and then the ownership isn't there once again, even though they broke the slate yesterday. So I'm there again. I feel strongly about that.
Yeah, they're just a really powerful team. They're going up against a pitcher that's volatile. Talk about a guy who has walk issues. I don't really have interest in playing Archer, and it's not a great park for hitting, but these guys are just so good. Grandal, Moustakas, Yelich, all guys I really want a piece of. So yeah, I'm right there with the Brewers. Looks like I'm a little overweight on them.
Also, Sean V said that there is a troll coming from, or implied possible trolling coming, just like Homer Bailey 2 seasons ago in Coors when he gave up 1 run and the Rockies had a huge total. That is the most specific point to reference ever, but sure.
I mean, it can happen at any time. You could troll. It's baseball. Weird stuff happens. Edwin Jackson could throw 5 scoreless innings here. Is it likely to happen? No. Is Colorado more likely to be the top stack? Yes, and I think they're going to be undervalued based on their ownership compared to their chance of being the stack you need.
So you took a guy from this game, but I feel like we should talk about the Cleveland stack because obviously that is one that's going to be popular again. Yesterday they were disappointing, and only the ginger assassin Jordan Luplow came through, but he's not in the lineup today because he's not good at all versus righties, which is a strange thing to be really bad at, I guess. But that's the ginger assassin for you. But yeah, I on Cleveland a little bit. I don't want to go back there as much as I thought I would today, but because the ownership is still there for these guys. They're about, I think, 15%ish owned overall. Maybe closer to 13. But what about you in Cleveland?
Yeah, I like Cleveland. I mean, I really like Ramirez and Lindor, so those are going to be the 2 guys I target heavily, and then Bowers, my home run pick. The reason I picked him is because I'm getting a decent amount of him as well at 3,400, dual position eligibility, and all that good stuff. There's going to be a lot of balls in play, and that's kind of half the battle. It's a good hitting environment tonight at nearly 80 degrees and wind blowing out. Wrong way for these lefties, but I think they can make do against Covey here. So just too cheap, and they're actually not getting as much ownership as I thought they would. I thought they'd be chalk and I'd be off of them, but it's actually not the case.
Yeah. Okay. That seems like a fair approach for me. Got a slack. Oh, you picked Mookie Betts on May 7th. It's a different time, Josh. It's a different world. America was a whole different place back on May 7th. Exactly. We just come off Cinco de Mayo. We barely survived.
That's right.
Give me one more stack you're getting. Actually, you know what? I'll take to another stack that I like that. I'm just going to talk about my stacks. Sure. Dodgers going against Jake Arrieta, your namesake. Another Jake who hopefully is due for worse things than the other Jake Bowers. Arrieta really bad versus lefties, and the Dodgers are going in whole hog with an entire lineup of lefties, basically. The first 6 guys in there are going to be hitting from the left side of the plate. All of them extremely dangerous. The Dodgers have just put up a ton of runs at home recently versus the Mets. Yesterday, I think maybe stalled out a little bit, but still putting up good production. I like the Dodgers, Jake. What about you?
I mean, so I always like the Dodgers. They're another team in the Milwaukee mold where if they're going to be low owned, and there's going to be another chalk team near them that's way higher owned. Yeah, I'd love to take some stabs at the Dodgers here. Not a super high chance of being the top stack, but I think still a little bit above average right now. And their prices for Seager and Muncy especially really stick out. Beatty and Verdugo also provide some nice value against a guy in Arrieta who can't miss bats either. and they did just a great job of stacking up left-handed hitters against him. So good lineup by the Dodgers makes me like them even a little bit more than I did earlier.
Yeah, they are. As Jake mentioned, on our top stacks tool, which you get as part of the Awesemo.com membership, use that promo code live before lock for half off the first month. They're not coming up well. They are actually going to be owned more, I think, than they're projected to be a top stack, which, isn't the best cosign from the boss man. But I just see the weakness of Arrieta, with, as you mentioned, really versus lefties, though, in particular. 157 whip, which is compared to a 1.1 whip versus righties, 7.1 Ks per nine, which is actually just a little bit worse. But the 9.9, or actually 10 hits per nine he's allowing to lefties, big increase from the 7.5 he allows to righties, and a ton of home run power as well, 3.9% compared to 2.3%. So he is weak versus lefties, and you're putting up a lot of lefties there who have a good ability to make strong, hard contact, good ability to put up runs. I just think it's a nice spot here. Beatty's the only lefty I feel like I don't need to get there, but he's super cheap, so if you want to go there, sure.
Yeah, I mean, in the context of a stack, a $3,100 lefty batting fifth, I think he's batting fifth, it's never really a bad idea. So,
yep. All right, give me a stack you like now.
All right, let's
give me a weird one. Give me your weirdest.
A weird one.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not seeing a ton of stacks that I'm getting to outside of Coors and Boston. That's not really a weird one, but I'm getting to some Boston. One that I would like to get to would be wait, is this right? The Mets. The Mets look like they're going a little bit.
The Mets. Like, I think more than Mets fans like the Mets. You love the Mets.
They're actually, I haven't really thought about them all day, but they're actually going a little bit undervalued, and you can see why with Alonso and Conforto above 5K. It's kind of just a whatever total, but 97 degrees in Arizona. Again, we mentioned the roof was open there, so I could find myself getting to some Mets before we get to lock here once I filter out my lineups. It's just you said weird. They have a 3.7% chance being the top stack. That's not too bad, honestly.
No, that's sufficiently weird. And I think Duplantier. I assume that's how we're pronouncing this one. You want to have a go at that name?
No, I'll let you have that one.
I think it's John Duplantier would be my guess, which sounds very artistic. So maybe he's really good at painting corners based on that. But he's had good strikeouts. That was a pretty good one. So, he's got 12.7 Ks per nine in a very limited sample size. He's only faced 50 batters in the majors so far. He struck out lefties really well, so I would be not inclined to pay for Conforto in the spot, just because I think there may be something there that he's just got a good delivery for lefties. I wouldn't play Duplantier, but I'm always afraid of like a top prospect guy. I think they were saying on the deeper dive that he's like a top 90 prospect overall in the league. So he has, at least theoretically, has decent stuff. I might be more inclined to play him than the Mets, but weirdly, I did get a couple Mets too in one of the projected things, or one of the optimizers that I was doing.
Yeah, it's like you can make a case for any team, I think, that has like an above 4.5 implied total tonight. It's just such a big slate because you're going to have low ownership on a lot of these teams. There's not like a cheap chalk stack that has emerged that I'm seeing, unless you count Cleveland as that, but even they're still going undervalued.
You could say Houston, I think. I mean, they're not chalky at this point, but they're cheap. Like, it's actually weird how cheap they are. I mean, granted, they don't have the top hitters in there besides Bregman. Even Bregman's like priced down substantially for a matchup with Fires. I mean, I think that might be a park thing, a park factor thing, because Oakland's park has been pretty good at limiting everything. But like Bregman should never be 4,400, I don't think.
No, Bregman's way too good of a hitter to be 4,400. He's been undervalued for like the last week or so. Hasn't really done much, but this might be a good time to jump on him.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, it's certainly possible that they can try to pitch around him here because it is a little bit weak. But yeah, we just have him protected by Brantley there, who's been good versus righties and also like really good versus righties. Not that good versus lefties, but he's like really good. 144 WRC plus, not striking out. So at least Bregman's a little bit protected there. But yeah, I don't know. The prices seem really low for Houston, and they can still hit even though they are missing some of the main guys.
Yeah, it's not like Houston where it's like, man, you got to stack up these Astros. Like, they're a threat to score like 12 runs because there's no Altuve, there's no Correa, or that we're expecting. Correa's injury. So it's not. They're just opening up some value is all they are. So it's not great hitters.
What about the Texas game? Because that is one, I think maybe the only game we have both teams over a 5-point implied run total here. And we talked a little bit about the joy of rostering Ariel Jurado at any sort of depth, and that's certainly not going to be a fun experience with the one lineup I have with him. But Texas, too, going against Danny Duffy, it's not a bad spot, even though they have been pretty bad versus lefties on the year. Really striking out a lot, not creating as much contact, really not creating runs. They still have some power, but they've been significantly worse versus lefties compared to righty. Any interest on either of these sides, I guess, in the stacks?
I really like the Royals again as a mini. Like, I love Mondesi, and then I like Lopez quite a bit. I always play Mondesi. I swear I mention him like 5 times every time we do the show together. And then O'Hearn, just a huge power bat in a good park. The park doesn't really matter for him if he connects. It seems like he's just got massive power. But in the 7-hole, he's not going to be super heavily owned. So I think I'm more, exposure-wise, I'm more on the KC side. Although I think you can make a pretty easy case for Texas as well.
Yeah, I didn't really get there much for anybody in that game, so I can't really speak to it. And but yeah, I mean, I think the weather still fits. Like, it is a hot day. It's almost 90 degrees in Texas today, and we all know about the general park factors there that are benefiting hitters. So it's only going to get better as it gets warmer there. Could be a little bit underowned, I think, basically. And people don't want to pay Texas prices versus lefty, and that could be an advantage point if they do kind of pick that up a little bit there.
For sure.
Anybody else you're getting a lot of who we haven't hit on? Atlanta, maybe? I don't know.
I got to some Atlanta against Turnbull. Turnbull's not a guy I think is bad by any means, but
I agree.
Just another good implied total, 5.3 runs for the Braves. And then you've got really awesome hitting weather that's obviously baked into the total. So the guys we'll be looking at are Acuna and Freeman, of course. I just don't like the secondary pieces all that much. I hate that Albies is batting 8th. I don't understand that. So it kind of takes away a little bit of the appeal of the stack, the full stack for me.
He's been a little bit worse versus righties, so I think I get why he would be bumped down. Like, he's only getting on base the 290, 231 batting average, so he is significantly bad enough where I could see why you'd bump him down there. But I think there's so much pop for everybody besides Swanson in the top 6. I think can get it done and at least can generate runs. Markakis also, the power is never really there, but I know I kind of wish I had more Atlanta because Turnbull's he's been good on the year, and I agree, like, he's not a bad pitcher by any stretch, but being in a warm Atlanta weather, also a park that's been pretty good overall for every category. It's a decent spot to go against Turnbull and hope he kind of levels out because he's been bad versus lefties too. So he's going to have some problems with guys like Freeman and maybe even McCann and Markakis.
Yeah, that's
even Albies.
That's a good point.
All right, let's see. Who else? Who else do we have that's kind of weird? I mean, Eddie. Oh, what's your best leverage stack on the day?
Best leverage stack. I think maybe Arizona versus Wheeler. We talked about them on the Yahoo show earlier today. That they're just like one of these teams that Wheeler's getting a good amount of ownership. It's not crazy, but you could see Arizona getting there because of the amount of power they have, especially those 2 through 4. And Wheeler is a guy that is prone to some blow up starts, as we've seen over the last year and change. But I guess they're really the only stack that I was looking at as far as like these popular pitchers. I don't love Toronto that much. It looks like they're getting quite a bit overvalued. So I didn't know if that's what you were alluding to or if you had one.
Oh no, I just thought there maybe was one that pops to mind. Toronto I didn't get too much either, and I didn't get to Marquez much on the other side, but I don't know. I don't trust Toronto, even though you probably could. I think Marquez is good enough where he's going to make it tough on them, and I find it hard to believe they're going to get enough production here. Though they do have a ton of power. Like, these guys have been hitting righties pretty well. I think down the last couple weeks especially, but this lineup is getting there. And Kevin Biggio too, I think, has been doing a nice job in a limited sample size too, where he's probably making it a little bit easier on that lineup to have value. But yeah, I'm trying to think who I would have. I mean, for me, I would think it's probably Washington because that's really the only stack I have a lot of where it's going against the high owned pitcher.
I like that one. Especially because Soto. I mean, I just love Soto. But yeah.
Soto and Fat Matt, both of them looking
strong.
Oh,
yeah, your boy. So Fat Matt's going to hit a home run. Soto could hit a home run.
What about Boston? Because they were a team. So I liked them a lot yesterday. And this is the kind of weird part when you go from we had a 7-game slate yesterday, which got cut down to 6. But like, you go from that slate where Boston was also not going to be terribly highly owned, but they were super highly priced. So you had pretty much everybody above 5K. Now they're down because of this slate. And going against Happ, who's been really, really bad this year. He's given up 6% home run rate almost, 7.7 Ks per nine, 9 hits per nine. All those numbers are down a bit. I got a game watching thing, which I don't try to cite too much because I feel like baseball game watching is, I would think, the least helpful game watching. But the last time I watched Happ, he was just like missing everything, and just his balls were just hanging in the air like for really uncomfortably long amounts of time. And I don't know, like I think Boston could be interesting here because they're not highly owned. You really have ownership on Justin Martinez and Betts, but a lot of power for these guys. You going with Boston at all? Going against Happ?
They're one I wanted to get to more. So the thing with Happ is, like, we were just talking about before he pitched his last start, how he had been having a really bad season, or like a below average season. Now you go up against Boston. I know the Yankee Stadium's better for lefties, of course, but the righty power bats they have here, Betts, Josh's guy, JD, Bogarts, Steve Pearce at 2,900, one of the better values on the slate, batting sixth. They seem like they set up for a really nice stack, and people just aren't getting to them as much as they should be, I don't think. So I really like the call on Boston.
Yeah, Pierce is a guy who kind of I just got to because I was trying to force some Boston players, and because he's so cheap and he still projects pretty well because he does have power. He's been terrible on the year, under a 100 ISO, 0.08 ISO so far this season. But going back to last year, he's got a 3.7% home run rate, a 213 ISO, 128 WRC plus versus lefties. So you would hope eventually that turns around since he's healthy and he's been in lineups. And at 2,900, if you get him today and he does have that power, it could be interesting. Pierce will get pinch hit for Moreland as soon as a righty comes in. That is also possible, yeah. But at 2,900, I'm willing to take that shot that he gets a home run that knocks in a guy or two.
Yeah, my exposures are messed up on DraftKings that I'm looking at. It says
what? 5 minutes to go.
What's that?
Seems like an important thing with 5 minutes to go.
Yeah, like it says I got a bunch of Caleb Smith, and I'm looking at my crunch, and I didn't. So I think this is on DraftKings. This is DraftKings' fault, not mine. So I'm not taking accountability.
For our guy McCod in the premium Slack, the Paul Blackburn of the night, of course, the award that goes to the historical worst pitcher on the slate who's super cheap and can help you be in a tournament-winning lineup, but fundamentally you don't want to play them. Who would that be for you today, Jake?
Chacin, closing my eyes and playing this garbage pitcher in a bad spot. But there's a case for a bunch of guys. Like, It's crazy. This slate is crazy that way. What about you?
Yeah, I think I'll go. You know what? I actually have the same amount of both. I just have one lineup with both, but I'll go with Dylan Covey just because I think the idea that he's leverage on Cleveland is interesting, and the fact that he doesn't give up a ton of home runs. Like, he's been lucky too, which is odd to say for a guy who mostly isn't that good. But I think he should theoretically be due for some improvements. Maybe. I don't know. I think I'd go Covey, and he is about as cheap as you can get without playing Ryan Stanek.
Yeah, I think I'd play Stanek. No, I'm kidding. Who knows? That's not a worse call than my call. Like, there's so many bad things about all these cheap pitchers, but if you're playing a bunch of them, casting a wide net, as they say.
Yep, I agree. Anything else we haven't hit on that you feel like you're getting in your crunches, which is worth mentioning?
So I'm looking at my final exposures. My crunches on the screen aren't going to tell you much because I have the exposures capped really low, so I get a ton of different combos. I got like 17% Pomeranz, 20% Tyler Mahle, 11% Michaelis. Like, it's just like no one I'm taking a huge stand on. Let's see. Darvish was the one guy I wanted to see where he's at. 15% Darvish. So, yeah, I'm kind of comfortable with all these guys and not going heavy on one of them, which is exactly what I wanted to do. And then just all the Coors bats. My top bats right now, as far as exposure, in order: David Dahl, Trevor Story, Nolan Arenado, Ramil Tapia, Daniel Murphy, Ryan McMahon, and Ian Desmond. Those guys are all 26% plus for me.
Okay. So you're with the high total here for Colorado. Yeah. It seems like the takeaway.
That's a good takeaway. Just all the Rockies for me.
So the guy, so this happened again. I'm telling you, it's the same thing as yesterday. I didn't really realize it got this high, but Darvish is going to be my 50% pitcher today. Which again, it worked out with Pena. I think even more worrisome for Darvish, but at least he's got strikeout upside and he's cheaper than Pena was. So let's see if we get 2 days in a row here, Jake.
I like it. You got to be bold. It's baseball, man. No one's going to remember if you get it wrong anyways.
Oh, no, that's true. I mean, look, the Pena call yesterday was like, I think the strongest call I had on the show. And it's nobody today is like, hey, great job on the Pena call. So, no, you're right. Just back to another day. Yeah. We are almost done with the slate. So hit that like button, please, before you guys head out. Obviously, we've covered all the stuff. We're checking for your questions now. But if you have any sort of love in your heart for the show, if you've appreciated us being here, please throw us a like before you head out for the weekend, because the likes help us out, help us keep the lights on, all that stuff. For people here talking about the Angels stack real fast, I feel like we didn't touch on that enough. But going against Mike Leake, nice spot here. Being in Seattle, maybe not as great of a hitting park overall, but still not bad by any stretch. And I didn't get there as much as I thought. Really only ownership on Trout and Ohtani. Angels for you, are they coming up at all?
I know I got a bunch of Ohtani, but that's just because he's egregiously priced. So, I mean, I'm fine with Ohtani. Looking at Trout, where is he at? I got to 10% Trout, so I get to 10% just clicking crunch on Trout. He's really never a guy I'd be worried about playing in really any matchup, and he's 5,700, so a lot of people won't play him. You can't really play him with Coors, so that's why I'm getting a lower amount of Trout than usual. But the rest of these Angels, like Calhoun, no, I got 3 shares of Calhoun, so not really getting the stack.
Somebody in the chat saying a San Francisco stack is a sneaky one of the night. They do have a pretty high run total for San Francisco standards, and Cashner can give up some power. I would be inclined to mini stack that though. I think you go with like Belt, Sandoval, Longoria. I don't really see the need to go to Panic, Yastrzemski. Great. I mean, great that he's a legacy and all that, but I wouldn't full stack San Francisco, I don't think.
Yastrzemski legacy. I like it.
That's his dad is Carl.
Oh, I know. No, it's his uncle, isn't it?
Is it? I thought it was his dad. Well, then I guess
I could be wrong on that. I swear I heard that somewhere, but
yeah, I read the article that was like, it's a great moment for the Yastrzemski family and whatever, and I guess maybe Mike Yastrzemski, dad, uncle,
who knows?
Yeah, where give me the Carl Mitchell. Oh, grandfather. So we were both wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, there you
go. Oh yeah.
I'm sure it won't be the last time we're both wrong.
I guess I didn't realize like Carl Yastrzemski is very old. He won the Triple Crown in 1967, so that would make sense that he wouldn't even be the dad.
Emac's saying uncle. Emac's saying uncle, so I think I might have been right.
What? It says his grandfather Carl Yastrzemski played 23 seasons for the Red Sox.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, yeah, Emac would know. I don't know.
All right.
Whatever. Well, maybe your old pal doesn't know. All right, we're locked. So yeah, grandfather. There you go, grandfather. Everybody in the chat saying grandfather. Take that, Emac. Some old pal you are giving us fake information. Yeah, grandfather it is. So go support the grandchildren of all the players out there. Go support Vladimir Guerrero III when he's in the league.
Yeah.
All right, Jake, any parting words for people? What's your weekend schedule for content?
So I will be doing the Live Before Lock tomorrow with Emac. I will not be on the morning show. I'm supposed to be, but I have a personal thing tomorrow morning. So I will be on Live Before Lock, Emac, and I will be breaking it down. It'll be Dan, Stratford, and Emac tomorrow morning. And then that's really it. I've got NHL projections for the game tomorrow, the showdown tomorrow. So that'll be a fun time. There's actually some good contests for that on DraftKings especially. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to watching the finals on Sunday. I'm sure there's going to be some crazy contests for that again. But yeah, what about you?
I'm off show-wise this weekend, thank the Lord, but I do have my NBA column is up now, my finals preview. The first one, actually, I mean, I shouldn't be surprised by it, but like I had some good takes in there, which I didn't play honestly enough of. Like Siakam, I was like, yeah, I think the Warriors can't cover Siakam, and I don't know who would possibly defend him. And they actually had Draymond on him most of the game, and we saw what happened. So go check that out, because I have some takes in there which could be helpful. I think maybe, I don't know. Maybe it'll help somebody. But go check it out on the site. Fast Eddie will also be on doing the NBA Live Before Lock show this weekend, I believe. So check that out as well. Subscribe to the channel. Hit the notification bell so you know when he goes live before that. And yeah, otherwise we'll be back on Monday with all the usual content you could expect. I mean, Jake will be here, but I'll be back on Monday. And we appreciate it. Use that promo code Live Before Lock if you want to play some night slate action. We have all that content on there, which will help you get better at it. Our team, our senior management team, our founding team, really the best at mini slates, at night slates in particular, using ownership and how to leverage it. So go check all that stuff out. The promo code Live Before Lock to get half off your first month. And yeah, wish you guys have a good weekend. Enjoy yourselves and be safe. Bye, guys.